Howdy friends, Lyndi here. Today I want to learn about something that's very topical and very timely. Tomorrow is the inauguration of our new president. Now, regardless of where you stand on the political spectrum, I'm not here to get into all of that today or get into what should or should not have happened in this last election. What I'm here to learn about is what is inauguration? What does that entail? What has been going on in the weeks leading up to this? What do Biden and his team have to do to transition? What's happening on the inside right now? I have basically a second grade understanding of how our government works. And I have a feeling I'm not the only one. So, with this special day happening tomorrow, let's do this and find out what it entails. So, here we go. Lyndi Learns Inauguration. So I'm just gonna Google, look at all these trending searches. I'm just gonna Google Inauguration Day. Look at that. Yup, tomorrow, Wednesday, January 20th, 2021. Live. Let's just go, how about, what is? It's an easy place to start, right? United States presidential inauguration. Is it inauguration or inauguration? Inauguration. The more you say it, it doesn't sound like a word anymore, so I'm sure I've already said something wrong. It's Wikipedia's birthday. That's exciting. Happy 20th, Wikipedia. Let's scroll down a little. Okay. United States presidential inauguration. It's a ceremony to mark the commencement of a new 4-year term for the President of the United States. Yep. Takes place each new term. Even if the president is continuing in office for a second term, they still get inaugurated again. That's cool. Since 1937, it's taken place at noon Eastern Time on January 20th. This is the first day of the new term, some 72 to 78 days after the election. Interesting. Except for 3 times January 20th has fallen on a Sunday. Okay. So even when it fell on a Sunday, it looks like they still held the ceremony that day in private and then did a public ceremony the next day. It's interesting how much our country treats Sunday as a holiday, even though it's a Christian holiday. That's an interesting thing to me. I'm not getting into that on this video. Just wanted to say it's interesting. So the only component that is mandated by the Constitution is that the president recites the presidential oath of office. Though it is not a constitutional requirement, the Chief Justice typically administers the presidential oath of office. Chief Judge of the Supreme Court, the highest-ranking officer of the U.S. federal judiciary. I can say words. So the Chief Justice administers the oath, and the president recites it? Okay. Since the 1981 inauguration of Ronald Reagan, the ceremony has been held at the west front of the United States Capitol, facing the National Mall, with the iconic Washington Monument and distant Lincoln Memorial. That's cool. So it's moved a few times over the years. I need to stop kicking the table. It's probably really loud on my microphone. Also, it hurts my knees. Aw, what a cute picture of them. When a president has assumed office intra-term, the inauguration ceremony has been conducted without pomp or fanfare to facilitate a quick presidential transition under extraordinary circumstances. The new president takes the oath of office in a simple ceremony and usually addresses the nation afterward. The president has assumed office intra-term, so mid-term, I'm assuming that means? Okay, so that's just when someone's taking over, when an inauguration has to happen, when there's been some changing of the guard as far as the president can't be the president anymore. Ooh, that's cool looking. 1905. Is that a painting, I guess? I mean, it has to be. It's not like a colorized photo. Yeah, it's a painting. So I want to see Ceremony elements. Here we go. Inauguration procedure is governed by tradition rather than the Constitution. The only constitutionally required procedure being the presidential oath of office, which may be taken anywhere with anyone in attendance who can legally witness an oath. Interesting. And at any time prior to the actual beginning of the new president's term. So all the pomp and circumstance of the ceremony of inauguration is really just that. It's tradition and pomp and circumstance. It has nothing to do with the Constitution. All they have to do is say an oath. Around or after noon Eastern Time, the president takes the oath of office, usually administered by the Chief Justice, and then delivers the inaugural address. So there's the oath, and then you're followed by the address, which is their speech. Oaths of office. Vice President is sworn into office in the same ceremony as the president. Cool. Prior to 1937, that was different. Immediately afterwards, the United States Marine Band will perform 4 ruffles and flourishes. You want to tell me what those are? Our preceding fanfare for honors music, ceremonial music for distinguished people. Okay. I love how Wikipedia has updated, and I just have these, rather than these links taking me to other articles, which I'm sure they do, it shows me just a little snippet of what I might want to know by hovering over that. What is the Marine Band? This is so useful. Now, I totally realize that I'm using Wikipedia, and this is really my sole source right now so far in this video. I am all for using Wikipedia. I've worked in education. I understand that it's not a main source and that teachers don't like it on, essays and whatnot because it's not reliable. I think it has enough people paying attention to it and editing it and keeping up on it. I think it's totally reliable, and plus it gives these little snippets of, you can see their actual sources. Well, these are the external links. Here's the sources. See, I can come down here to references and I can see all of the references that this article used, and I can click on these individually and go and read those and cite those in my academic papers if I had any I had to write, which thank goodness I don't. Anyway, back to what I'm doing. Back to oaths of office. The current form, which is also recited by senators, representatives, and other government officers, has been used since 1884. I do solemnly swear or affirm. Is this 2 different things? In law, an affirmation is a solemn declaration allowed to those who conscientiously object to taking an oath. An affirmation has exactly the same legal effect as an oath, but is usually taken to avoid the religious implications of an oath. It is thus legally binding, but not considered a religious oath. Interesting. So if it's against your religion to take an oath, you can take an affirmation, and it means the exact same thing in the eyes of the law. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I'm about to enter. So help me God. Again, interesting to put God in there. The whole point of our government was a separation of church and state, and we have religious holidays, and so help me God, and one nation under God, and all these things. Again, I'm not being political or religious, I just find this interesting. At noon, the new presidential and vice presidential terms begin. At about that time, the president recites the constitutionally mandated oath of office. Okay, so that first thing was just... Wait. Oh, I see. So the one I already recited was for senators, representatives, government officers, etc. And then the presidential and vice presidential is this one. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will do to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. It's literally all the president is promising to do is defending the Constitution. Now that's interesting. So according to Washington Irving's biography of George Washington, after reciting the oath at the first inauguration, Washington added the words, "So help me God," as like his own personal prayer. Yeah, and apparently they don't know when it, according to this article, it's unknown when "So help me God" became less of a personal prayer and more of actual words within the oath that the Chief Justice also says. That's interesting, too. There's no requirement that any book, or in particular a book of sacred text, be used to administer the oath. And there's none mentioned in the Constitution. So by convention, we swear on the Bible just like every other swearing-in thing. Hey, look, it's a picture of the Bible. Adams didn't use the Bible taking the oath in 1825, neither did Roosevelt in 1901. Franklin Pierce affirmed the oath of office rather than swear it. Oh, and then for Johnson, they used a Catholic missal instead of a Bible. Missal is the sacred text, I'm guessing. A missal is a liturgical book containing all instructions and texts necessary for the celebration of Mass throughout the year. Yeah. I've never actually seen that word, missal. I know a new word for Scrabble now. Bibles of historical significance have been used. Obama swore on the Lincoln Bible for both his oaths, and so did Trump. Immediately after the oath, the Marine Band will perform ruffles and flourishes, followed by Hail to the Chief, followed by a 21-gun salute. What is the origin of the 21-gun salute? Because that's just 7 guns, or 7 cannons firing 3 times, right? Or is it 3 firing 7 times? A 21-gun salute is the most commonly recognized of the customary gun salutes. 21 guns came to be fired for heads of state, or in exceptional circumstances for heads of government, the number decreasing with the rank of the receipt of the honor. Okay. While the 21-gun salute is the most commonly recognized, the number of rounds fired in any given salute will vary depending on the conditions. Circumstances affecting these variations include the particular occasion and, in the case of military and state funerals, the branch of service and rank of the person. I didn't know it was that complicated. By country, let's look at USA. I didn't even know other countries did the 21-gun salute. Today I learned. Denmark, France, India, Russia, the United Kingdom, United States, there we go. On 16th November 1766, so 9 was the customary salute to an independent republic at the time. They did 13 guns, 1 for each state in the Union, for a while. A problem I'm realizing as I record this is that I can't read out loud and comprehend material at the same time. I always hated reading in class because when you're called on to read out loud, like from the textbook, my brain would just stop working because I'm so focused on what are the words I'm saying, what are the sounds my mouth has to make. I don't want to stutter over anything. I stutter when I read. And so I focus on that, and I get to the end of the paragraph, and I have no idea what I just read. I can't answer questions about it. I can't elaborate on it. I have to read the sentence out loud and then stop and cock my head to the side and read it again in my head so I can actually comprehend it. So reading this out loud and learning it as I'm also trying to tell you guys what I'm learning is actually more of a challenge than I was expecting. I'll have to remember that when I'm doing the future Google Dive videos like this. So it's the actual number of guns, not the number of shots. I always misunderstood that. Yeah, interesting. Okay. What? See also, celebratory gunfire. It's the shooting of a firearm into the air in celebration. Thanks. Okay, back to the address. I want to hear 4 ruffles and flourishes played before Hail to the Chief. So the inaugural address comes after they swear in with the oath. They give a speech referred to as inaugural address. It was started by George Washington. I would hope that most presidential traditions, customs were started by George Washington, seeing as he was our first president. Does anyone else have trouble picturing, like, George Washington when you hear the name George Washington? I can only think Christopher Jackson. You know, Christopher Jackson, who played Washington in Hamilton, the musical. And also did the singing voice for Moana's father in Moana. In case you didn't know that, I just figured that out like 2 days ago. So there's that. Anyway, I picture him. I don't picture him. So Washington, after taking his oath on the office... After taking his oath of office on the balcony of Federal Hall, he proceeded to the Senate chamber where he read a speech before members of Congress and other dignitaries. So every president since him has done the same. So most of them read the addresses before taking the oath. But current custom, they do the oath and then the speech. McKinley made that change. In 1897, William McKinley requested that they could do the oath first so that he could use the words of the oath at the close of his inaugural address. He could reiterate them. William Henry Harrison. Kind of looks like Peter Capaldi, the Doctor Who, the 12th Doctor. It's the eyebrows. Got those attack eyebrows. He delivered the longest inaugural address. Goodness gracious, who in that day counts the number of words and sentences in a speech? Like, today, you paste it into Word and, highlight it, and it tells you how many words. They had to literally go through a written speech, seeing an actual written speech and going through and marking every little word. That would be crazy. And the sentences. What? Excuse me? John Adams in 1797 had an address that totaled 2,308 words and contained the longest sentence at 737 words. Excuse me? Oh, Washington gave the shortest address, 135 words, because he was just saying things he knew needed to be said. He wasn't trying to, give a speech he had to give. Most presidents use the address to present their vision of America and set forth goals for the nation. Some of the most eloquent and powerful speeches still quoted today, like Lincoln, with malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right. What? With firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right. Let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds, to care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan, to do all which may achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations. Is that the 700-word sentence? Sorry, that was really long. Roosevelt vowed, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Short and succinct, that one I know. Kennedy, and so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. So in the few terms when a president changed midterm, there was no address. But they did address Congress soon after. So when Ford took over for Nixon, he characterized the speech to Congress as not an inaugural address, not a fireside chat, not a campaign speech, just a little straight talk among friends. I like that. Fireside chat. Oh. I just thought that was an idiom. I just thought that was a phrase. The fireside chats were a series of evening radio addresses given by Roosevelt between 1933 and 1944. Roosevelt spoke with familiarity to millions of Americans about the promulgation of the Emergency Banking Act in whatever year. Promulgation? Excuse you? That's a fun word. Promulgation. It's the formal proclamation, why not just say proclamation, or the declaration that a new statutory or administrative law is enacted after its final approval. In some jurisdictions, this additional step is necessary before the law can take effect. Okay, so promulgation is just the declaration that a new law is coming into place. Promulgate. To promulgate the importance of raising funds for additional cancer research. So promulgate, promote, no, not promote, but like declare. So like state the importance of raising the funds. You promulgate it. Huh. I'm gonna try and use that in my sentences at some point. Ceremony has incorporated one or more prayers and poems. I didn't know that. Robert Frost read his poem at the inauguration of Kennedy. I didn't realize that. Maya Angelou read. Okay. I didn't know having poets come and, be additional speakers was a thing. Other elements of inauguration. So over the years, various traditions have arisen. So it's a day-long ceremony with parades, speeches, and balls. Contemporary inaugural celebrations typically span 10 days, from 5 days before to 5 days after. Following the arrival of the presidential entourage to the White House, it's customary for the president and vice president and their families and leading members of the government and military to review an inaugural parade from an enclosed stand at the edge of the North Lawn. It's like White House North Lawn. Boop. Ooh, pretty. It's bordered on the north by Pennsylvania Avenue with the wide view of the mansion. Okay, so North Lawn is the front. Good to know. These are things that I'm surprised I didn't know, but at the same time, I don't know why I would know it, so. The first inaugural ball was held on the night of James Madison's inauguration, 1809. Tickets were $4. Steep for 1809. Goodness gracious. So this has a list of presidential addresses by words. And the full text of a lot of them. And where? Extraordinary inauguration? Does that mean it was extraordinary circumstances, came in halfway? Yeah, because Lincoln... Okay. Now, out of curiosity, let's see. Obama's second was, shorter, more succinct than his first by only about 300 words. Trump did 1,400. There you have it, folks. That was a short little dive on what in the world is Inauguration Day and what does it entail. I hope that was informative to you. I learned some things I didn't know before. I hope you like these little dives. I have a plethora of topics that I'm excited to just go Google searching on, probably a little bit more than today. I wasn't able to find a lot of information specifically about inauguration other than that Wikipedia article and its sources, because most of what I'm Googling comes up with inauguration of Biden and specific things to do with this year, which is not so much what I want to get into right now. But that said, I learned some interesting things, and I hope you did too, and I hope you enjoyed this. Until next time, friends, see ya!